Livland, my beloved people, descendants of the very founding of our great nation, welcome. Last year I came to you to wish you all a happy Livland Day and bring you the state of affairs. This year I do the same. However, some things must first be said. I'm sorry for my absence in recent months, many of which cannot be excused. I'm sorry for my most recent hiatus, which was caused by a deteriorating mental state. I ask you all to forgive me of these things. I would like to offer my most sincere gratitude to my Regent Garanos, my ministers, and all the Livlandic people for sticking through this and continuing to help with the migration. You've all made me very happy. While we celebrate 4 years of continued existence and soon 3 years of Imperium, we meet the holiday with great trepidation and much discouragement from what has already become of us. Since our loss in the war against Realgem, and our exit from the unofficial factions assembly and trade lands as a whole, we have declined greatly in power and prosperity. Once again, we have become nomads, just like we were in the early days, and we hopped from island to island to find a safe home. We have fallen far from atop our gold-peaked ivory tower felled, in the height of our power and hubris. But it was this aloofness and insular arrogance that brought about our near destruction, for it is written, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." We must be careful to not gaze into the reflecting pool too long, like the mythical Narcissus, not to become proud and self-absorbed, or God may allow us to be struck down for our own good so that we will relearn our lesson. Now, for all the new members of Livland, you probably have some vague understanding that our group is a few years old, but with no real depth of understanding about Livlandic history. To remedy this, I will explain a little here so that you understand the context of us moving to the Starscape community. Livland has existed for 4 years now, and we originated within the Tradelands unofficial community. During this time, we saw rises and falls in power, but by this time last year, we were a very powerful faction within the community. But we lost war to a major rival. And with the Tradelands community shrinking due to overall mismanagement, major losses for Livland, and overall no real future there for us, we decided that our best course of action was to move to a different community. And we decided that Starscape was the best fit for Livland, and so we started to establish our presence here. With that being said, I understand that education about our history and culture is sorely lacking, and understandably so. We don't have many people to spare the time to educate new members on any of these matters, really, especially since it would mostly result in one-on-one instruction. Understanding this, I have concluded that succinct educational primers should be written to remedy this as the ideal solution for new members. Now, we do have a larger text on our history in the works, but I digress. Ideally, the primers should contain history, culture, and some commentary on these subjects. And when written, they will be issued throughout the Empire and its colonial possessions. Now, during my hiatus, and since my return, we have continued to see modest growth within Starscape, while the Livlandic Viceroyalty of Carmen has seen rapid and exponential growth and success. Along with this, we can put a decent variety of vessels to sea, by which I am very pleased. We have also been able to establish an alliance with the Dakarian Republic, and are currently in search of a home system to set up an outpost in. More on those later. Overall, this has been a good month for Livland, and I am very pleased with the progress of our empire. Going forward, we have much work to do. Player stations will be released. We have to establish a faction officially within Starscape, create a treasury to hold the resources for the state, and deal with reforming the Livlandic Navy to work within Starscape. In regards to creating a faction, that will be done shortly once we have the treasury account and logos, which I am working on. On a related note, I have found it necessary to make changes within my cabinet of ministers. Due to changing circumstances, I am choosing to remove Arcorion as Minister of Internal Affairs and replace him with Prince Cameron. I will also make Garanos my Minister of Finance. Alongside this, I am hoping that I and my ministers can meet on a more regular basis to keep up to date on things. Now, regarding the matter of player stations, we are very aware of the number of resources that will probably be necessary to make one of these, much less sustain one. Therefore, we are going to be using the population as a mass labor force to obtain those materials. We expect the release date for stations to be anywhere between 10 to 40 days approximately, give or take 3 on the short end. So we will need to be hosting regular mining events to increase our resource collection rates. Alongside that, I've decided that a centralized collection system is the most effective way to obtain the vast quantity of material necessary. So at the end of each event, all those involved will hand over 75% of all materials gathered to the event foreman, who will in turn deliver them to the treasury. Understand that this is a temporary measure until we have a player outpost, and this will not be a permanent rate. It has also come to my attention that we are in need of proper military instructors and doctrine. To remedy this, I've tasked Commodore Garanos and Lord Commander Militant Morphleod to develop a training program, doctrinal texts, and recruit proper instructors for the Imperial Navy. Hopefully these issues can be remedied soon. Now, to wrap this all together, between player stations, primers, cabinet changes, and rehauling good portions of the military, and how we run things, or at least how we train you, for all of you in the military. Yeah, this is a lot of work, and it's going to require all of us to be involved. But at the end of the day, if we want Livland to still be a thing, we don't have a choice. And I'm serious. We don't. I don't want to implement, or at the very least, I know it's a pain to implement such a high collection rate. But to get anywhere close to the number of materials, it has to be done. I know it's a pain for me to ask my ministers, we need to meet more, we need to meet regularly, we need to change things up, we need to make this or that. But we've got to do it. We don't have a choice. What are we going to do? We've sat around for months, now we have to do something about this. Frankly, now is the time to act. There's going to be a lot of changes coming in Livland in the next couple of months. And hopefully, all the stuff that I've been outlining here so far can be done. hopefully in the course of a summer. At least. At least in the course of a summer. Lest we have to extend it another season. Which I really do not hope we have to do. Because by the time school rolls back around for a lot of us, that's going to become a whole lot harder, especially with Prince Cameron. Well, he's going off for college, so he's not going to be on as much. So internal affairs is going to take a hit. Everything can take a hit. But we really don't have a choice, so we have to put in the work, we have to put in the hours. Or none of what we want and hope Livland to become will ever happen. Yes, some of you have heard of societal change ideas I've had. That's way down the road. Some of you may be wondering, when are we going to make the group? I hope soon. But, of all the things I've outlined, we really have to together stand up, get out there, and do this stuff. Because if we don't, we're not going to have a group. I've been around for 4 years doing this. Stuff like this has happened before. God has been merciful to us. Livland has stayed afloat, even in times when it shouldn't have. We've seen miracles. We've fought wars against a dozen nations stacked against us, and we won without a shot fired. All on technicalities. We negotiated down half of the other dozen. With money we barely had. If that wasn't a miracle, I don't know what is. But we do have to put in the effort. That's just a part of life. So, to conclude this, some of you have been around for years. Some of you have been around for months, some maybe weeks. But that doesn't make you any more, any less Livlandic than the others. We're in this together. And we all have a part to play. So I'm trying to get this plan through. Let's do something. Let's get out there, even if it's just a little. A little helps. But we have to put in that work. We have to put in the hours. We have to be willing to make something of this country. We have to make that choice consciously. And we have to do something about it. So, let's get out there. We've been around for 4 years. God has been good to us for these 4 years. I believe He still will be. Let's do this. And let's try to get this done by the end of this summer. I know that with God's goodness, with hard work, these things can be done. But we've got to have faith. We've got to put in the effort. Let's go and do it. God save Livland. And I wish you all a happy Livland Day.